And welcome to another edition of the Tyson Talks podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P. Bush. How are you fellas doing?
Doing well, man. Doing the back on the traveling bandwagon, man, down in St. Louis in an ice storm, man. Not fun. But man, we got some good football this past weekend, some blowouts, some nice games, man. And conference championship weekend, the favorites made it, man. The favorites made it. I thought there might have been some upsets, but nope, not this week.
We almost witnessed a miracle this past weekend. We almost witnessed a miracle, but it was too good to be true. And I was actually heartbroken that game. I was actually heartbroken with my Packers for not getting it done because it gave me a little hope, even though I was like, man, is this actually going to happen? But couldn't close the deal. That Carlson kid misses another field goal. Hopefully that dude gets cut because he is awful. But some bad field goal kicking this past weekend. Bad field goal kicking.
Yeah.
He missed one last week, too, when he played against Dallas. Even though it didn't really bite him in the butt. But, yeah, who was the kicker for the Packers? Was it Crosby? Was it the guy that's been there for so many years,
man?
Yeah, it was Mason Crosby.
He was automatic, bro.
The rookie, like Carlson. He's the brother of Daniel Carlson and the leaders.
Yep.
Yeah, man. They're going to have to invest some nice capital. Maybe the Dallas kicker want to go kick for Green Bay now, and maybe he'll get a chance to be in a winning situation. So, like I said, we always got to get some Dallas Cowboys shots in there. But like I said, the divisional round for me is never really the biggest round in terms of me watching the football games and caring. But this week, it delivered. And, now we're going on to the conference championship games. But I wanted to go back and talk about what were the biggest takeaways from the divisional round. And P-Bush, you can go ahead and start us off.
Jordan Love, man, got greedy. Mm-hmm. He got greedy. He thought he was Aaron Rodgers on that last drive. Zoo, we were texting in that moment, man. That throw was one of the worst decisions I've seen. I mean, he tried to play hero ball across his body. Come on, man. This ain't Aaron Rodgers against Arizona Cardinals to Jeff Janis, man. Come on, So, hey, look, it was a great game. Aaron Jones, once again, having a phenomenal game against a great rush defense in the 49ers. The Debo injury to his shoulder, man, I haven't seen. Maybe there's a report that came out this afternoon about where he's at with that. That was a big loss in the game. I was
not the same team without Debo. Not the same team.
You can really just hone in on CMC, but the man carried. The man absolutely carried that game. 2 touchdowns, pun intended, on the carrying there. Dude, the Packers defense had been kind of on a hot streak there for a little bit. I mean, but you put CMC up against him, barbecue chicken alert, man. I mean, his yards per carry may not have been the greatest, but he will get it done. He had 7 catches, absolute monster.
Versatile.
I think this is actually really big for him going into the Lions game. I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but, he had to do it against a Packers defense that was hot. The Lions rush defense is fantastic. The pass-catching running backs are king in the NFL nowadays. We saw Rachaad White have a nice touchdown reception against the Lions. I expect CMC to be doing that this upcoming weekend. But yeah, man, tough loss for Jordan Love. Tough loss for CJ Stroud. His welcome to the NFL playoffs moment. The Ravens are they just look great. I mean, their only points that they gave up really were on that punt return or kickoff return. I can't forget which one is which, but
punt return.
Yeah, it was a punt return. And when that happened, I was like, oh, they might get lucky. They might, kind of get a little momentum in the game. But, man, that Ravens defense is just immaculate. Their rush defense, which has kind of been their downside, quote unquote, this year, just absolutely shut down Devin Singletary. He was only able to affect them in the pass game. And the Lions, man, I know we were talking about Baker Mayfield pre-production. There was a moment there where the Bucs defense gave up 3 straight touchdowns, and I was like, momentum's completely gone. They made a little bit of run there at the end, and he did have a chance to go for a game-winning drive, but maybe not as greedy as Jordan Love on that drive, but he did make a mistake trying to force the ball down the middle. I think it was to Cade Otton there, who was having a really nice game.
Good game, yeah.
He could be a nice, cheap, upcoming
I was thinking about that when I was watching the game.
You know what he kind of reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of Jake Ferguson's come up a little bit, in Dallas, just becoming kind of the red zone guy, the 10 to 15 yard Cole Kmet for the Bears kind of type guy. Not a great tight end, but just a solid top 12 tight end in the league that could be valuable when it comes to fantasy next year as a late draft pick. But that Chiefs-Bills game, man. Zoo,
heavyweight, man. Heavyweight fight. Heavyweight fight. Back and forth. Touchdowns. It was
unbelievable. I mean, kicking became the difference. Harrison Butker was a monster in that weather. And then Tyler Bass comes in and misses once again.
He got paid too. He got paid.
It's the Buffalo Bills playoff demise, man. Just kicking. I think they lost maybe 2 Super Bowls in that 4 Super Bowl run based on kicking. Just tough, man, especially when Josh Allen was that one dart that he threw like 70 yards in the air to Stephon Diggs, and it just went right through his hands. I thought I was watching a Bears wide receiver from 2022, man. I mean,
it was awful.
Awful for an all-pro caliber wide receiver to not make a play like that.
James Cook had a massive drop too.
For the touchdown. For the touchdown, right?
Yeah.
When Fields was tougher, but he had a chance at it. But man, Khalil Shakir, he's pretty nice, man.
He was kind of decent all year, yeah.
He's been good all year. He was the only one. I was looking at a stat that said he had, I think, 2.5x less targets than Stephon Diggs in the last 4 games, but he still had like 10 more catches than Stephon Diggs. Now, obviously, he's garnering the number 1 cornerback. And speaking about Diggs matters there. But man, I mean, Josh Allen, he was making the plays. Hell, even Dalton Kincaid saved that fumble by diving for it.
Yep, and that was huge.
Able to fall on it.
Huge recovery.
Everybody was making plays except for the down the field threats, which is really the only way that you're going to win a game like that when everyone's back and forth. It's the big plays. MVS was the one that made
big catches. Big catches.
Finally, he only had 2 catches, but put up 60 yards in that. And Travis Kelce, Sean, you were talking about needing a big game. He may not have had the 120, 150 yards, but those 2 touchdowns, absolutely massive. Not only for the confidence of this offense, but more specifically for him. I mean, he'd been so quiet in the red zone and just, the gold zone, as the Jets were trying to call it this year, and they never really succeeded at it. But Travis Kelce needs to continue to take advantage, and he's going to be the deciding factor along with Pacheco this week against the Ravens.
Yeah, all I gotta say, the Chiefs' offense receivers showed up. That game, like, I don't recall any huge drops. Like, that's the thing, the huge drops. Maybe they had like 1 drop. I don't remember any significant drops that game. Like, Patrick Mahomes is just Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's always great in the playoffs. But his receivers, Travis Kelce, like last game, he objectively played awful with the drops. This game, he showed up 2 massive touchdowns, 5 catches for 75 yards, looking more like vintage Hall of Famer Travis Kelce mode. Man, Rashee Rice, 4 catches for 47. This guy's just been consistent all year round, especially as a rookie wide receiver. You shout at MVS with some deep throws, and he's the deep threat. And you got to make those. You got to make those catches when you're playing against this Josh Allen guy who had 12 carries for 72 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. This guy is just an animal. Like, he's an absolute animal, and he only has 186 passing yards. But his receivers let a lot on the table. Like, his receivers look more like the Chiefs receivers all year with the number of drop passes. Like, Dalton Kincaid with a little dink and dunk, but the deep throws that, like, you tell that beauty, the stuff on Diggs. That's one of the best throws I've seen in my entire life in the playoffs. Like, they did not lose this game because of Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen didn't make, like, in that last drive, he made one poor decision trying to go for the touchdown.
Twice, man.
Yeah, I believe like Diggs was wide open. All they needed to get was a first down. But he went for the kill shot, but missed Shakir one shot. He got hit, so I'm like, okay, he got hit by the defensive lineman. Like, okay, that happens. But I'm like, Josh Allen played that fumble. That fumble was pretty bad. So like, I'm gonna give him that's like a turnover on Josh Allen. But they just got lucky that you mentioned Kincaid recovered that ball. So outside of that, no terrible like potential interceptions I recall. Like outside of like that one crazy fumble he had, played a pretty clean football game for Josh Allen. All I say is like, 1 turnover or less is my quarterback position. I'll take that. 1 turnover or less. He played a clean football game. Like, Josh Allen in the playoffs just shows up every time. I'm telling you, like, his playoff resume is awesome. Like, they lost to the Chiefs, which happens. Like, obviously on the road, at home, like it doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes, home, away, it doesn't matter. Like, Patrick Mahomes' mentality is just, I'm better than you. And the Chiefs showed up. And like, Kansas City right now, their offense is clicking at the right time. this is the perfect. You beat this Buffalo Bills team who's been playing for their playoff lives for the past like 6-7 weeks. Like every game was a must win for this team just to make the playoffs, and to beat the Buffalo Bills at their home field in another brutal weather, that cold temperature. Like cold temperature does not affect this team. I know it doesn't affect Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like especially like cold weather. The worse the weather, the better I have for the Chiefs, because I feel like the other teams struggle a little more with cold weather. And what guy I got a shot that struggles with cold weather or not good conditions? Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy in that weather. Dude, you saw this guy wiping his hands, man, struggling to grip the football. They say he has like smaller hands. Dude, seriously, he had the gloves on. Like when this inclement condition, aka a Jared Goff type.
I was going to say, luckily he's playing Goff.
Yeah, exactly. So you got these receivers that need perfect weather, like sunshine, no wind, like indoor conditions. Like these quarterbacks, they can ball when the weather's not on your side. But this is playoff football right now, so like you're gonna have to be dealing these conditions depending on where you play. Brock Purdy was not good. He was not good against this. Like I know Jordan Love had a couple of picks. But I still thought Jordan Love outplayed Brock Purdy in that game. Brock Purdy had a lot of potential interceptions.
A lot.
Dude, was it Savage who dropped? Yeah, it was Savage. Right? You cannot drop that. It looked like he threw the ball right to him.
Yep.
Like it wasn't like, he like went for a tip and like almost got a pick. It was just an awful pass, and you got to make those plays. The Green Bay Packers had every opportunity to win this game because the 49ers, I didn't think they played a good game at all.
It might have been their worst game
Bay Packers,
since the Ravens.
I thought the Green Bay Packers game plan, Matt LaFleur, that was unbelievable coaching. I think he outcoached Shanahan. I saw Luke Musgrave open like a lot. The ability to scheme, Romeo Dobbs, like the ability of this guy to get some of these guys wide open. Like this is a good defense, and I just see why is this guy wide open? That's scheme. That's coaching. Mm-hmm. That's like being creative on offense. That's what separates the creative offensive coordinators and the guy who make play calls like the Mike McCarthy's from the guys like Matt LaFleur, who's really showing that coaching bone. Because this is what a guy Jordan Love as a rookie playoff quarterback right now, and ability to make Jordan Love, because I like Jordan Love. I think he's a solid quarterback, but I don't think he's that good because some of the play calling is just genius. I think just absolute genius. Because like Romeo Dobbs had an awesome coming out party. That guy's been awesome in the playoffs. And Aaron Jones, man, this guy's up there with CMC in the playoffs right now because his ability to catch the football, go between tackles, to get big plays. Like Aaron Jones had that great deep run. I'm just like, Aaron Jones is so healthy right now because he struggled all year with injuries. But this is the Aaron Jones I remember that carries teams in the regular season and fantasy football teams, because this Aaron Jones, when he's healthy, is an unbelievable running back. He's showing that true value. You mentioned that these dual threat running backs that can catch the ball, run between the tackles, and be a pass catcher. Like, shout out to Aaron Jones at this age to being that effective, because he was. They didn't lose because Aaron Jones. He had 18 carries, 108 yards against the 49ers, and they almost pulled a miracle. But you're missing field goals. You're missing potential interceptions. Like, they had all these opportunities that they could have capitalized off. Debo leaving with the injury, so they're not fully healthy. And we know this team, when they have injuries, like, they're not the same. Like, one guy missing on this offense, they ain't the super team that we see in the regular season when everyone's healthy.
It affects the scheme.
Exactly. You can't, like, Debo's versatility as an offensive player is a true flex. So they got that break of him getting injured. But, man, they couldn't get it done. The miracle came up a little short, and I'm not going to lie. Ooh, I was kind of sad at the end of the game. I was watching that game. I'm just like, man, are they actually going to pull off a miracle? Because you got the Dallas Cowboys falling to them. And if you beat the 49ers,
they could have had a division championship.
Are you kidding me? The 1 seed and the 2 seed? That's mind-blowing. So, like, they almost called it a miracle.
They'd have a legit chance against Detroit too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that would have been
the Niners.
Beat
the Niners.
Would have been picked in that game because of the momentum. Yeah. They would have been picked in that game for sure.
They almost pulled off a miracle, but the Cinderella story had to end. And the Niners, not gonna lie, the Niners disappointed me. They did not look dominant at all. Not even a little. Like, Packers looked like the better team that game against them, but they squeezed it out because Carlson missed the field goal. So. That happens, man. That happens.
I think too, one thing I don't think I gave enough credit for was the Packers offensive line. They were showing it in the back half of the season with, even though Aaron Jones was being injured, they were still giving Jordan Love a lot of time and was protecting him. But, like I said, they're one of the few organizations who draft really, really well. And you got to give them credit with that offensive line, those, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, you got Christian Watson, if he can stay healthy somehow, you got the tight end. They got it. And then they're going to have more draft picks this year. Like, they're going to have a whole lot more options to get better. And they're going to be an interesting pick in the NFC North because it's just with Jordan Love being consistent. Like you said, I don't think anybody thinks he's going to be a superstar. But with Matt LaFleur, and if Aaron Jones can stay healthy and maybe they get another, a real second gear type back behind A.J. Dillon, and he'll probably surpass A.J. Dillon, like they could be a scary offense going forward. So I for sure thought they were going to win that game. I was real disappointed in just the 49ers adjustments with Brock Purdy because, we know that he's not let's just be honest. He is a system quarterback. Like, I think because of the superstars around him, it's kind of almost like a guy that's like, and this is just really elementary, but like a guy in high school who's like on the football team, but he doesn't play, but he was like, he's a part of the cool crowd because he's just there. And like, he may make a play or two because he just was given an opportunity surrounded by guys who are really talented, but that's not really who he is. Brock Purdy is that guy. And I think a lot of people are just more in love with the story of him being the last pick and him making this rise and playing well. But I think people who have savvy football minds know he is more of a Shanahan and players around him product. Because if you were to put Brock Purdy on any of these other playoff teams that are actually any of the playoff teams that are in the playoffs right now or got eliminated, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. I think the 49ers, maybe Detroit, because Detroit has a lot of talent. So maybe Detroit, maybe. But, Purdy has shown the ability, which I said last week, like, if they are showing like he's going to throw interceptions and he's going to be careless with the ball, I don't know if I'm going to be riding with the 49ers as being that team, that can, I guess, potentially get to the Super Bowl and win it. So, and we kind of saw that because, like I said, they're great when they're in front. Like, they love to brag like most teams. Like, when they up on you, they hopscotch. Everybody, Debo's, got the chain. The Kittle's running around. Everybody's going crazy. But, like, when Green Bay put pressure on them, you could tell they were tense. You could tell it because I think they also know, like, there is no excuse. Like, okay, Debo's out. I don't want to hear that. You got Ayuk, you got Kittle, and you got McCaffrey. You need to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Debo's important because I did see a stat. Debo, they're like 8-9 when Debo's not in the lineup. I don't care. You got Trent Williams. I can get to this point right now. Ayuk. Like, what is going on? Ayuk, all pro.
Ayuk is
what awesome, is going on with their defensive line? Where's Nick Bosa? Where's Chase Young? Mm-hmm. I didn't see them sacking Love. They were getting pressure, but they weren't sacking him. And I guess you could say, well, Green Bay's defensive line. Maybe that our offensive line is really good, but their defensive line is not making the impact I thought it would make. Their linebackers are elite, and their back end is elite. But anybody that knows football knows those guys can only cover for so long. Like, as savvy as the linebackers are in space and how locked down the corners are, if you don't have a defensive line that's consistently getting to the passer, we're going to have an issue. Like, so I'm interested to see with the matchup. We'll be talking about it later with Detroit, how they kind of manage to deal with them. Because, like I said, Detroit's got a lot of momentum right now. But going to the Chiefs and Bills, this is just it's people are making this into like, bigger than what it is. It's Mahomes is Jordan. Some people may in that AFC may not ever get to eat because of how good Mahomes is. Mm-hmm. And Josh Allen might be a victim of that. They might be a victim of that. Lamar may have a chance this weekend to prove that he's booking it. He's booking it, or he's killing that narrative. But I don't know, man. Like, Mahomes is just at a point where once you get that first ring, you got the second ring, you're just playing with house money now. And you're not going to – no moment is ever going to be too big. Like I said, last week I was like, I just want to see it on the road and see how he does. But obviously, it does not matter. He went on the road. He went into an intense environment. It's the Buffalo Bills. They probably have one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. And he didn't, blink at all. So,
snowballs thrown at him.
No, he just went like this, man. Yeah. My God.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I said, to your point, I was excited to see Kelsey come out, and he, didn't have like his 100-yard game, but he made plays in that game to where it's like, okay, he's alive, he's well, he'll be able to fit in this offense. Rashee Rice is getting better and better by the snap. Isaiah Pacheco's running hard. Their defense, Sneeze, lockdown corner, like he is a dude. So like, to me, man, it's just, like I said, more. I think my thing with Josh Allen is, I just didn't like conversation with him surrounding, like, there was a lot of people, and I'm not saying him on this podcast did that, but a lot of people were kind of trying to sneak like he's kind of close to Mahomes, and it's like he's not. Like, he is not in that territory. He'll and I don't want to say never because that's kind of harsh, but he's not in that territory. And I think he gets talked about because he's such a dynamic guy, more so than other quarterbacks.
50 touchdowns.
That, like, it's like people were trying to make it seem like it's Mahomes, Allen, and then other guys. It's like, no, it's Mahomes and everybody else.
Yeah, Mahomes in a tier by himself. But in that second tier, Josh Allen is.
Yeah, he's there, but Josh Allen has a lot more company. It's not like, I think people were trying to make it seem like it's Mahomes and then Allen, and then, like, no, it's Mahomes, and then everybody else is in that lump.
Yeah, I don't know. I would put Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson in that, I would say, tier 2.
Would you put Burrow in there?
And Joe Burrow. Yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah. I would put those.
Joe's got one more. Joe has gotten to the Super Bowl, and I think he's getting credit for. I think what he has is he's got to a Super Bowl, so that's a lot of cred. But I think him beating Mahomes has really jumped him up because Allen's never done that. Sure. So I think, but Burrow's still going to have a little bit more benefit of the doubt because even if next year he, comes in, it has to be the play though. Like, if he's hurt again this year, then
he beat Mahomes, but that was more of Mahomes not playing well at all. I don't know if you remember that second half. He was
horrible.
He was off. I believe he had 2 interceptions. The defense on the Cincinnati was getting it done. Like, every time Patrick plays against Josh Allen, he plays like flawless, like A football. So we gotta put that in perspective too. Like,
I think it's just kind of like
defense, he shreds them. Yeah. Like against the Bengals, that was the worst playoff game Patrick Mahomes has ever played.
I think it's just more of a he just sees, like, I think once he beat him in that when he came back, it's like 13 seconds, and he came back, whatever, and he got the field goal. Like, I think since then, I think Mahomes just has this kind of like, he's in his head, and like I said, I'm comparing it to Jordan. Like, he just is like, Allen, you just not gonna eat. Now, like I said, Lamar this weekend has a chance to change that, but like, he's looking at all the guys in the AFC, like, we'll see what you can do, because I lost Tyreek, I lost these guys. I'm still coming in with the aura of I'm still got the best team, even though you could argue with his weapons, like, this might be his worst set of weapons outside of Kelsey, and Kelsey hasn't been playing well.
But let's be honest, they are very lucky that Rashee Rice has come into his own in the way he did, or else you would have
drafted him though.
They drafted him.
They did.
Yeah, they drafted him.
But if you remember at the beginning of the season, Justin Watson was the big talk of that team, not Rashee Rice.
It was another guy too. It was another guy too. I can't remember his name.
Well, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore.
Yeah, like losing Kadarius Toney.
Justin Ross was another guy too, but he
has some off the field issues.
Off the field issues for sure.
But man, I'm gonna transition.
Yeah, I get you though. They got kind of lucky with Rashee,
because against the Ravens in this, I guess I'll just transition this into the champ games, man.
Yeah,
this game is featuring 2 unbelievable defenses. The difference for me is going to come down to a couple of players. I think obviously Kelsey, but for me it's the running backs and their pass catching abilities. Pacheco, they don't really use him that much in receiving. I think he had 1 big catch in the game against the Bills. But for me, it's kind of weird. We know Lamar's going to do his thing. Mark Andrews might be coming back. Isaiah Likely, once again, they didn't play Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely scores a touchdown, man. I thought that was a great decision by the organization just to keep it consistent. Maybe they need the dynamism of Mark Andrews for this game against the Chiefs. But Justice Hill needs to have a big game. I think it's kind of weird for me to say that.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That guy is the most dynamic one in the backfield. Gus Edwards is I think of his 13 touchdowns, 10 of them are within 3 yards.
Yeah.
Justice Hill is a guy that they can really swing the ball out to, and that is the one downside to the Chiefs is their rush defense. And not only that, but also you notice James Cook, he actually had a pretty good game. He had that 1 big drop I think you guys were talking about. But in the receiving game, he was gashing them in the first half. He was gashing the Chiefs in the first half, and they need Justice Hill to be that same exact guy because we know what Lamar is going to do. Zay Flowers, Snead just gave up his first touchdown of the year this past week, and it was a hell of a play. It was a hell of a play.
He almost was out of bounds, yeah.
It was a great throw, great catch by Shakir. He was draped all over him. It was just a perfect play. So, Zay Flowers, Justice Hill, I think those are the 2 key guys for me on the Ravens side. And like I said, on the Chiefs side, man, Pacheco, and that offensive line need to just absolutely dominate. I know that was a huge point in the game this past weekend that the Bills and Chiefs were the two offenses in the league that gave up the least amount of sacks. I think if the Ravens want to win, they have to force Mahomes into dire situations where he is forced to throw the ball down the field to MVS, for example. And maybe you're willing to gamble with that because of his inconsistency at the wide receiver position. So I think both of these offenses have a chance to pop off, or they both have a chance. This could be a 13-10 kind of game, as very defensive in cold weather zoo. And you want to talk about a road? Yeah, Buffalo might be tough to play, man, but Baltimore ain't easy as well. It is not an easy place to play. We got two great kickers going up against each other. It's something weird to bring up, but that could be a deciding factor. That could be a deciding factor in this game. But I got the Ravens, man. I think Lamar Jackson is finally going to pull one over on the AFC, finally get to his Super Bowl appearance. Someone needs to take down King Mahomes, man, and I think
somebody does. Somebody does, and who better to do it than Lamar Jackson, the probably second-time MVP at the end of the season. That this guy might have 2 MVP trophies on his trophy case right now. But this is your opportunity. You are at home. You are the Vegas favorite. You're a -4-point favorite. So even
I think that's insane. That's kind of after you get 3 at home, but still
3. That's so even crazy. Without home field advantage, they're saying the Ravens are the better team in the playoffs. So right now, you are favored to get it done. Your offense, obviously, like the Texans was a cute story with the rookie quarterback. it was. I was shocked they pulled off the upset against Browns, but it turned out it was just a Cinderella beating another Cinderella story with Joe Flacco. Yep. So he got it done, but then you got that second half, as you said, it was a punt return for a touchdown. Okay, that's fluky. You cannot count on those multiple plays of that. So without that, they would have 3 points in that first half. Second half, Lamar Jackson took over, played some of his best football I've ever seen before, especially as a rusher, 100 yards, 2 tutties. But so Lamar Jackson, okay, you're playing against a real defense right here in this Kansas City Chiefs right now. This is Patrick Mahomes' best defense he's ever had. And you're getting your toy, Mark Andrews, back. Isaiah Likely, I'm telling you, Zay Flowers is awesome. He's got a whole set of weapons right now at your arsenal right now. At home, this is your chance to beat this team. And I just feel like this is the same feel. I'm saying this could be a tough matchup. Just like I said with the Buffalo Bills, I was worried about the Buffalo Bills because I knew it was gonna be a back and forth. I believe it's a back and forth. But all that worrying got me. But all I got to rule in football is I never bet against Patrick Mahomes. I never bet against him. I always bet on him. I have a futures bet on him, and looking real good right now. Looking real good right now.
See the real reasoning.
It was plus 650, man. Plus 650 on a $50 bet, man. So I got a lot at stake right now. 2 wins, give me my $300+. So Patrick Mahomes, if he goes on the road and beats the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, holy cow, Super Bowl and no brainer. Easiest bet ever. I don't care who comes out of the NFC, man. I don't care who comes out because I believe the Buffalo Bills and the Ravens, they're better than any team in the NFC.
Depends if Debo's playing.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Debo, he might be out for 2-3 weeks. Who knows? He's up in there. Brock Purdy, yeah. Okay.
I think if they get to the Super Bowl, he'll probably play, but it might be tough for him to play in a conference championship.
It'll be tough. But all I gotta say is, I just don't bet against this guy. I don't bet against dynasties.
Fair.
So I he might lose. Tom Brady has lost before. But a lot of people bet a lot of money on Tom Brady. He's won a lot of money. So I just don't bet against dynasties. I have a rule. Just don't bet against dynasties. Mahomes, that guy. We're watching a dynasty. This guy, as a starting quarterback, has made the AFC Championship every single year as a starter. That is absurd. Especially in a game of football with injuries, and just the brutality of single game elimination. That consistency, obviously, he got the benefit of dominating the regular season, getting bye weeks. So you win one game, you make it. It's pretty easy.
That nice little PI call there towards the end of that Bills game, though. Let's be honest.
I don't remember that one. Who was it on?
Yeah, I think it was against Rashee Rice. Or no, yeah, remember when the ball was already in the air? And if it was in the air, it would have been legal contact.
Okay, whatever. If Andy Reid didn't call that's that dumb Miko Hardman rushing play. I don't know.
We're not disputing Mahomes is going to get calls. Come on now, and you also see who's in the booth with his wife as well. So that. Listen, if you're talking about which team may get more calls, It's probably going to be the Chiefs because other things are operating. Like, not saying that's going to decide the game, but
stop.
There might be situations
I gotta say,
that
if they didn't do that foolishness when Mecole Hardman in the rushing game, they would have won by a lot more points. So, like, that was some foolishness. After some
if they didn't
by the
fumble
Buffalo,
the
Buffalo Bills did some buffoonery too, but with that fake kick.
Oh, that was so dumb.
Yeah, that was just fear of Mahomes.
That's a fireable offense.
Yeah, that was just a fear of Mahomes' offense. They feared the offense that bad that we need another potential possession. It wasn't like a 4th and 1. It was, I believe, it was a 4th and 5. Right? It was 5 yards. That's significant amount of yards. So that was some foolishness over there. So Mahomes got fear in them, and then Lamar Jackson. This is your opportunity. You can have a perfect season, getting an MVP trophy and a Super Bowl trophy right here. You're at home, get it done. This is your opportunity.
What? You get the trifecta: MVP, Super Bowl MVP, and the Super Bowl trophy, man.
When's it last? I guess Mahomes might be the last one that's done that. I guess did he? Well, he's only got one MVP. Did he win a championship that year? Or I'm not sure.
2019.
No, the 50. No, his first MVP he did not win. He lost to Tom Brady in his first one.
The Bucks, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Was that the 2020 championship?
No, Zoo, because 2018. Yeah, 2018. He lost to the Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots in the AFC Championship game to Tom Brady.
Because then 2019 he came back. That's when he beat Jimmy G. He didn't make it in
2020. He lost to. I thought he lost to
Aaron Rodgers. Was Aaron Rodgers that won?
No, 2020 was the Bucks championship, wasn't it? Because that was COVID.
Yeah. That's when they got manhandled.
Yeah, and Mahomes had that crazy sidearm throw, whatever, where he was like falling out of bounds and he like threw it 45 yards, like you know, horizontal.
So I'm just like,
besides that point,
like I don't bet against dynasties. Lamar Jackson, okay, now you got your kitty win out of the way, whatever. You had a bye week and the Texans, whatever. Here's a real team. Good luck now. Good luck, sir.
Yeah. I think this is a massive statement, obviously, for Lamar on a lot of fronts, because to your point, like assuming he wins the MVP, assuming he gets to the Super Bowl, and it's kind of almost impossible once you get to the Super Bowl if you do win that the quarterback doesn't win it. Like it's almost impossible. Like you would have to throw for
especially Lamar because he rushes and throws.
Unless your name's Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, you would have to have like Zay Flowers have to go for like 12 or 180 or something crazy to where they can't give it to the quarterback.
But if you play a 10-7 game and it goes to a defensive player,
yeah, they're going to give it to a quarterback. So that would be the trifecta. And I think Lamar, once he got that win off of his, that win last week, and he got kind of the proverbial monkey off his back, I think it's kind of put him at a little bit of ease now going into this game. I think he understands that you're going against Mahomes. I think just as competitors, I think Lamar, just how his makeup, I think he kind of wanted Mahomes, because not saying beating Allen wouldn't have mattered, like wouldn't have been a big deal, because it's like I think there is a narrative too, like people still think Lamar's maybe not on his level, but I think he wanted Mahomes more just because Mahomes is the guy. Like Mahomes, it's the same thing as like how Tom Brady was. Like any quarterback that was going against him, even though they wasn't really successful in terms of beating Brady. But when teams did end up beating Brady, it was never about, well, that quarterback on whatever team beat said team. No, they were like, no, that quarterback beat Brady, right? Like Eli Manning built a career out of that. Like he beat Brady. They never say he beat the Patriots. They say he beat Brady. So it's like, I think Lamar knows Mahomes is the dude now. He's a contemporary in terms of like being in the same conference. And if Lamar were to beat Mahomes and then somehow get to Super Bowl and then win, I think that then starts a super interesting conversation, because then it's like Lamar would have 2 MVPs. He has a Super Bowl. Now you want to talk about confidence? Like, yeah, it's Mahomes' league. But then like if I'm Lamar, if that actually were to happen, you can say whatever you want about Mahomes, but I'm not going to be like, yeah, you're right, Mahomes is the best guy. I'm like, okay. Like he's got one more Super Bowl than me. I got another MVP than him. Like,
now that the same.
Yeah, if you want to talk about pure or the same amount of I got the same. You would say I got the same amount of MVPs and I got one less Super Bowl. Like people would be like, oh, shut up, Lamar. Like, you're not the guy. But then Lamar's thinking in his head like, oh well, we still got time to go. He would feel a little bit more confident in the room. Yeah,
he might be considered the true rival, because right now first it was Josh Allen as his true rival, and then it went to Joe Burrows after Joe Burrows has beat him multiple times, and I think
if Joe Burrow was healthy, it would.
Yeah, exactly. He would have been awesome again. But Lamar Jackson, if he beats Mahomes on the path to win a Super Bowl, okay, yeah, that's his rival now.
Conversation
Lamar Jackson, because this guy's got more hardware than Josh Allen, Joe Burrows in the regular season, and if he gets a Super Bowl, he's had more playoff success. So knocks out 2 birds with 1 stone right now. So.
I think that's why
y'all are beating around the bush. Who are we picking?
Well, I'm about to get to that. Like, I think I for a fact, like, when I saw the 49ers and the Ravens play early in the year, that's who I thought was going to be the Super Bowl. Like, that was going to be the Super Bowl. But I hate how the 49ers looked last week. So just getting my picks out of the way, I still think it's going to be the Ravens beating the Chiefs. But, man, I'm kind of trending towards the Lions beating the 49ers because I'm just – 2 reasons. I'm nervous about how Brock Purdy looks. And Jared Goff on the low is playing really well. He's playing really well. You can say it's at home.
He threw some dimes. Like, he barely got touched that game.
He's been on point, though. Like, if you think about, like, quarterbacks in, I guess, the playoffs, like, of course, Jared Goff's not going to be picked as one of the top guys because he's not dynamic. But Goff has not been a liability. He's been good enough to where, like, it would not be shocking if they get to the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not saying he's like the most dynamic. Yeah, he's playing indoors, but if we're going next week, who do you trust more, Goff or Purdy? There's no way you could say Purdy. Hell no. Especially if he ain't got Debo. He almost threw like 2 interceptions that could have been returned for touchdowns.
Sean, if the Bears can beat the Lions,
that doesn't matter. It's that they're not in. The Bears are not in the playoffs. Like, we're talking about teams in the playoffs. Like, the 49ers, all defensive line also hasn't been good.
They're way better.
They haven't been good. Bosa's been like, what is Bosa or Chase Young? We heard all about they got these 2 bookends. Like, they haven't done anything in the playoffs. Yeah. Like we said, Green Bay should have won that game. Mm-hmm. So, like, to me, my concern with the 49ers is you better hope McCaffrey goes off. Because if you do a game plan around McCaffrey not doing well,
that one
that's what I'm saying. He carried. Like, people kept saying Purdy drove them down the field in that last drive. That was McCaffrey. He was the passenger. So, like, that's what scares me. And Goff, like, I was thinking going into the playoffs, Goff was going to be one of those, like, he'll probably, like, he'll be okay, but I don't know. I don't think he'll be the reason. But Goff has played better than I thought. Now, I know it's been, like, indoors. But, like, I would be more with you, P-Bush, if you had, like, somebody with the 49ers, like, yeah, Purdy looks real good. Like you said, he's wearing effing gloves in the right. Like, he is an overachiever. And I think the only thing that I will say
Goff
that
should wear gloves in the rain, let's be honest.
He should, and he probably will. But, like, Goff also, too, if we want to look at it, Goff, I know and people will disrespect him because he's not a dynamic quarterback, but, like, he did go to the Super Bowl with the Rams. And he has a chance to go to the Super Bowl again. So you can't just throw him away as like he's more of a liability. Like, he had 3 points, but like you said, he was going against the GOAT. He was going against the GOAT, man. Like, sometimes you just get shelled up as when you go against the GOAT. You can't beat the GOAT. Like, you can't. I know, but still, you're still going against at that time.
He's not playing against Purdy. He's not playing against
Purdy. So like, and I don't think Jared Goff is going into that game like, oh my God, like, I'm battling Brock Purdy. Like, no, I've been to a Super Bowl, young buck. You're a 7th round pick who's being elevated because you're playing with a lot of good guys. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that the Lions could blow him out, but I'm not just going to be like, yeah, 49ers got it. Because if they ain't got Debo, all right.
I'm telling you, because if you look at the skill position, they're up there, these Detroit Lions. Like,
Detroit's got
Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, that one rush, holy cow, he's explosive. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is a real deal as a rookie running back. Like, they took him as a first-round pick, and in the playoffs, he's been worth it. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs has been the alpha as the running back, and he's been awesome. Sam Laporta. I need just some Jahmyr Gibbs. Sam Laporta coming back from injury. He was awesome too. 9 catches, 65 yards. Like, Sam Laporta is that #1 tight end option. And my boy, the Sun guy, thank you for cashing in my bet with that beautiful catch for a touchdown. Yeah, okay, yeah. Josh Reynolds, another secondary receiver, had a nice little revenge game. Like, but the Sun God is awesome. So he's got weapons that you could say they're pretty equivalent to the Niners' weapons.
You know what's scary?
That's all I gotta say. Like, their skill position is explosive. The offensive line is amazing. Like, Jared Goff, I would
Aiden
say
Hutchinson can make more plays.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson on defense. But like, Jared Goff, like, he doesn't need to be the game changer because he just needs to be a game manager with these weapons right now because they got some yak in them and they're extremely aggressive on offense. So let these weapons ride, man, because they're explosive too, just like the Niners' weapons.
So you're picking the Lions,
Do I believe it? My heart wants the Lions because it's a good story and it's a franchise of losing. Like, so, but before the playoffs, I had the 49ers making it back to the Super Bowl. to play against against the Kansas City Chiefs as a rematch. So I'm going to stick with my pick, but I'll be lying if I said I'll be mad if they don't get it done, because those Lions, man, this is a franchise that had 0 wins a couple of years ago. So right. They have made some strides.
Here's my point of view on this one. I agree. I think the Detroit weapons are ridiculous. Jahmyr Gibbs is legit. Demont's taking a back seat. He's still the goal line guy for sure, but Gibbs is huge. And seeing what Aaron Jones did to them, that's a good sign for Gibbs. They have very similar play styles, and Gibbs is just a faster version. But here's my thing, man. Obviously, sure, the Debo thing's huge. I don't think he will play. I think they would probably sit him out. But, man, you guys got to remember, I know that they had a couple picks on Baker Mayfield. This is one of the worst pass defenses in the league. And we were talking about how great Ayuk is. The man has not done much the past couple weeks. He hasn't done much. He had 3 catches for 30 yards in this last game with Debo out of the game. Now, that's granted, he had Jair, like I said to you, Sean, last week. Yeah, Jair and Bryant, he was going to have to shut down Ayuk. He did, and they almost won that game. They just couldn't make the plays, right? So they should have won that game, and I think the Ayuk being just absolutely covered by Jair was huge. You know who one of the worst pass defenses against tight ends is? The Detroit Lions. George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk are going to feast on this defense. And sure, Brock Purdy, he might make some bad throws once in a while, but sure, you can just hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey.
Nuclear weapon down there.
Purdy's more mobile than Goff. I actually trust him moving around the pocket more.
That's for sure.
He had a nice scramble. Last drive.
You're talking about, you haven't seen Nick Bosa. We haven't seen Chase Young. You're going to fucking see him. I'm sorry. You're going to see him.
We'll see.
And Purdy is able to take pressure. Goff has no lateral ability. Absolutely none. Penei Sewell, unbelievable tackle for that team. He has been an absolute monster of a pick. This is exactly what good teams do. The Trent Williams of the league, right? They either sign him for massive money or they draft him. They focus on their tackles. It's the difference maker. But for me, man, I just trust the 49ers defensive scheme way more than the Lions. And I still think even though the weapons are probably equal with Debo out, they are equal, I still trust Kyle Shanahan's scheme more than the Lions, even though Ben Johnson has been a hell of an offensive coordinator for Jared Goff. But that's when he has a perfect pocket. He had a perfect pocket that entire game. They had no
and the Buccaneers defense, secondary, it's not that good.
It's not that good.
It was very high over and under.
I don't even know who their corners are. I know they got safety.
Look what Kate Otten did to them, and look what Mike Evans did to them.
Oh yeah, Mike Evans eat it.
That was with
Mike Evans always eats though. So I mean,
it's
kind of hard to like.
He's grab. I was like, Big Mike.
Yeah, they won by a touchdown. They had the Bucs did have a chance. I'm not saying they would have tied the game if they had kept driving, but they had a chance. They were at home, and they played a perfect offensive game. Literally a perfect offensive game.
Yep.
And they won by a touchdown against the second worst playoff team this year.
The Bucs were. But they were another cute story because the Eagles win.
So I'm saying now you got to go to outdoor San Francisco in January. It's something that, sure, Purdy might be wearing 2 gloves, but at least he's been playing in it for 2 years.
I mean, they're both going to be wearing gloves, so I can't use that. I get like that argument's kind of null and void.
Sure, but Goff's record in bad weather outside is horrible. And he needs perfect conditions.
He's not
to play
the
well.
greatest.
So they're a great story. I don't think they're a cute story, Zoo. They're a great story. I think they're going to be good for years to come. I don't think you can throw them in that, Vikings, Giants of last year. No. They're a legit team. Dan Campbell's a hell of a coach.
I love him.
Dan Gamble cannot gamble too much in this game because that could lose them this game.
For sure.
I'm just scared because you match up all these. Well, sure, CMC is still better than Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry. He's just still better, and you can rely on him way more. You just can. So I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I also agree with that. But I think if you're not favoring the Niners here, it's tough.
Yeah. If you look at the Vegas spread, they have them as a -7. So a touchdown favorite at home.
I would say 5 probably.
Yeah, so plus 4 points after the home court advantage. So, they're saying Vegas saying Niners are just objectively the better football team. I agree with them. But, man, if Detroit gets it done, man, I would say
that'd be impressive.
That would be impressive. I would say that would be shocking because I don't think anybody, a lot of people had the Lions making the playoffs. But
without Debo, it lowers it a little bit. The shock
lowers
value.
it a little bit, but
yes.
making the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl.
Well,
I can't imagine. I couldn't even imagine that. I couldn't even imagine.
If you look on this podcast history, if people are really savants of our history in terms of our previous episodes, we did have, at least how I titled it, and I think we brought it up as a topic.
The Ravens.
What would be more
Lions?
of a possibility? Yeah, what would be more of a possibility? The
Ravens
or the Lions making the Super Bowl. Yeah, and it's like that could also become a reality. And if we're just being frank, it would be a nightmare for the NFL because I think they would still want to have some semblance of Taylor Swift being in there. And then when you look at the 49ers,
the NFL wants the Chiefs in there.
They're going to probably want the Chiefs and the 49ers. So, when you're talking about Baltimore and Detroit, like for your point, Zoo, like in terms of which would be more shocking, it definitely would be way more shocking if the Lions got to Super Bowl because of just where they have been as a franchise.
For sure.
I just have been more shocked that like Goff, because coming into the playoffs, I just thought like in terms of the quarterbacks, he's not as dynamic. Like probably before the playoffs, even before seeing how Purdy has played in his last playoff game, I would have been like, yeah, I probably would rather be with Purdy than Goff because I just wasn't a huge believer in Goff. But like, I was just surprised with how composed he's been. I know it's been in a dome, but he's just been better than I thought he would be. And it's just something, I know we could say like he was more of a McVay product, and you could probably say it's more of an indictment on Goff because McVay got rid of him. But he did go to a Super Bowl and he went against the GOAT and an institution. So it's like he has the experience. So him going into that situation, I don't think it's going to be like if he were to get beat, it's going to be because it's just a full court blitz. They can't block and he's just getting destroyed. I don't think it'll be because he wilts under the pressure because I do think you do have some type of, I guess you could say, street cred. And it's like, hey, I've been to a Super Bowl. So like it's not similar to how Green Bay played in their 2 playoff games, but like they were more free because you can tell in both of those games they played free as hell. But, like, I think he's going to have a lot of confidence. And I know he's telling those guys probably in the locker room, like, look, like, I know we're Detroit and we're going against the 49ers, but it's like, bro, like, I've been to Super Bowl. We have the confidence to get there. We'll see what we can do. So,
for sure.
Like you said, the smart bet would be to probably pick 49ers because, like I said, 7 points. That's kind of saying, like, that means they're saying it could maybe be a 2-touchdown game almost if it gets out of whack. So, yes, I have more confidence with the Ravens against the Chiefs versus the Lions with the 49ers. But like I said, conference championship weekend is going to be intense. Divisional was nice, and we're going to get our Super Bowl matchup after these couple of games. So salute to all the guys who are competing. And, if we get that Ravens and Lions Super Bowl, man, I'm going to be interested in the coverage. I'm going to be interested in it because it's going to get covered. But, oh, man, it's going to be – because that'll be in Vegas. It's in Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm. It's in Vegas.
Yeah, so God, I bet to Detroit what they would go.
Those fans are gonna just beat up on each other, man.
God, that's a crazy setup.
Detroit Lions.
That's a crazy setup. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But real quick, we were gonna.